Welcome to O People of the Book YouTube channel.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
Oh, People of the Book YouTube channel.
نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم نبرات شعري سطرت لمداد حبري والقلم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم هيا قصائد سائلي قلب النوى ليس الشبم
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope I'm going out. Let me see. Yes, I think I am, because I unplugged my mic. Every now and again, I take my computer to my daughter's house. So when I do, I actually have to plug everything back in again. So I see that I am going out, and again, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and I hope everybody's okay. You can see the jumper and everything, because it's getting cold here now. Winter's here, so usually I have the window open or I have the air conditioning on, but at the moment winter's here. So I do apologize, because last week I kind of let you down. I was very tired, extra tired last week. I don't know what happened to me. My eyes were closing at this time, so I wasn't able to fulfill my commitment. But anyway, I hope everything's okay from your side. My weekend's finishing. Tomorrow back to work. Game over as usual, and yeah, so some of you are entering into your weekend, and I hope that whatever I can offer you with this show, that you can benefit from it. And anyway, we're back to our book this week. I don't have any resource or anything. From monogamy to polygyny, a way through necessary reminders. Okay, so now we're on page 249. We're on to page 249, and we're on the second paragraph. We're on the second paragraph where it says, if you do not love your husband properly, always putting Allah and his prophet first, then you become a slave to that love and essentially to your husband. Okay, so you become a slave to Allah first. Allah, Allah is one who you have to become a slave to. Islam has given you better than that. You need need not be a slave master, driving you to commit sin after sin. Okay. All in the name of making sure you are the only woman that your husband is ever with, regardless of what Allah said. Now, you know what Allah said, you know what the Quran says, you know what the Prophet ﷺ's hadith, and how it is something that Allah allowed and whatever. Now, despite that, you love your husband so much that you end up now doing things that you shouldn't be doing, saying things that you shouldn't be saying, and end up, committing sins. So this is why the love has to be for Allah. Nobody is telling you here not to love your husband. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Nobody is telling you not to love your husband as a sister. You have to love your husband, but to a limit, to a point that it doesn't get you to commit sin. Okay. Okay. Regardless of how and what the Prophet ﷺ lived and said, regardless of how clearly in man's nature, regardless of what is clearly in man's nature, Islam sees you as a complete person without the need of a man to sanction your entrance into Jannah. Okay, so although there are many hadiths that mention that yes, a woman whose husband is happy with her, she will enter Jannah and everything, but you are not. I don't want to say the wrong thing now. You are not a slave of that. You're a slave of Allah and not a slave of that man. So you need to know how to act in order to earn that Jannah. Okay. You control this by doing everything in accordance with what Allah said and what the Prophet ﷺ said. Hardship is a part of life of the muttaqeen, the pious. If you desire ease and the life of this world, you can certainly have it, but at a severe cost of your akhirah. Remember, we are here to work for our akhirah, and I told you several times that this show is not just about polygyny. It's not pushing down polygyny down anybody's throat or whatever. It is at the same time building your belief, building your trust in Allah, and helping you with your akhirah. Is it worth it? Making the love of your husband more important than the love of Allah. Now that's very important. Yeah, we keep reminding you on this show that yes, you love your husband, but not over the love of Allah. Allah's love comes first, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then that of your husband. Remember, this book is written by a sister for sisters mainly. Yeah, and because I read it, I had the chance of reading it. This is why I'm sharing it with you. Inshallah, you will follow the nasiha. You will begin to learn your religion and focus on necessary growth and change in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. Now let's talk about your friends. Unfortunately, most Muslims do not choose their friends on the criteria of Quran and Sunnah. This is very important. We were doing one of the courses a couple of weeks ago, and the Sheikh had mentioned about this, about the issue of choosing your friends. Because if you don't know how to choose your friends, if you choose friends that will take you to the wrong side, if you choose friends that will take you to Nara Jahannam instead of Jannah, kind of thing. So we have to be very careful. We will be raised on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. If we the story of Zubair bin Awam and what was the other Sahaba's name? Zubair bin Awam and I just lost his name now. But anyway, there were two Sahaba who were very, very good friends, and they were good friends together, and they died, I think, at the same time, and they will be raised as friends in Jannah as well, according to the hadith that I understand. My mind just went now; I forgot his name. If anybody remembers his name, if you just post it on the comments. Talha bin Ubaidullah, Zubair and Talha. Yeah, they were the two good friends. So, Prophet ﷺ teaches us to choose our friends. Okay, choose our friends and make sure that our friends are in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. If you have a friend that is all the time backbiting, you have a friend that is all the time talking bad. You have a friend that's always got bad language in his mouth, or always swearing and everything. What are you going to end up doing? Either you invite that friend towards the Quran and Sunnah, or you end up following that friend. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. So you have to choose your friends according to the Quran and Sunnah. Let's talk about your friends. Unfortunately, most of most of most most Muslims do not choose their friends from the criteria of the Quran and Sunnah. This is a hadith. It says here, it is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ said, a man follows the religion of his friends. So one should consider whom he makes friends with. Recorded in Abu Dawood. Okay? Friends can be a major source of fitna for you. In your friends, you will either find strength that is clear and true findings in its root of the word Allah and His Prophet, or your friends will lead you closer to Ahl Hawa, following your desires. Now, I mentioned to you earlier on that if you have friends who bad mouthing, always talking about other people and stuff like that, what are you going to end up doing? You're going to end up doing the same yourself. And you know how bad it is, backbiting, how bad it is. And if you have friends who are always talking about others, always talking about our brothers, our other sisters and everything, and you're sitting down listening to that, yeah? Even though you're not taking part in it, but you're sitting down and listening to it, you're taking part in it as well. Yeah, so you have to be careful with your friends. There may be on one side there are friends who give you strength and bring you to the way of Allah and His Prophet, or friends that bring you to Ahl Hawa, people who follow their desires. Yeah, so yeah. Do you remember in the past two events that there was two cases that there was one sister who actually turned to her friends, and there was a sister who actually kept it to herself, kept everything to herself. Now, among the friends, if she didn't have any good friends, if she had friends who misleading her or leave him whatever so obviously then she would have destroyed her own marriage, for example. Yeah, I can see some people here who are watching. If you could just drop a comment or salam or whatever, it would be very nice, because I only at least I'm not talking to myself. Not only in polygyny, but in every test, every ease, the benefit of having friends who are strong and steadfast in the deen of Allah is a true blessing, one that cannot be imitated by those friends who are weak and may lead you to sin because of their desires and feelings. Now, we have friends like this at work. We have friends like this in our universities, our schools, or whatever. We have friends who all the time are talking about others, or all the time are always complaining or whatever. And we have friends who are all the time you see them, they're quiet, and probably reading Quran or doing dhikr or whatever. And when you look at them, you turn around and look at them and think, I should be following this person. So you have to be careful on choosing your friends, because some might lead you to the right path and some might not. Not only about polygyny, but about other things as well. I mean, can you imagine if a friend was totally against polygyny, that doesn't want to know a thing about it, even though it's Allah has mandated, Allah has sanctioned it in the Quran, and yeah. Yet you have some people who actually say they don't want to hear about it at all. Now, if you have friends like that who are not open-minded, who are not willing to listen, and who are not willing to discuss about it, we just then obviously that will change your frame of mind as well. So as far as polygyny is concerned, and as far as anything else is concerned, yeah, for your deen. Okay, not only in polygyny, but in every test and every ease, the benefit of having friends who are strong and steadfast on the deen of Allah is a true blessing, one that cannot be imitated by those friends who are weak and may lead you to sin because of their own desires and feelings. Now, I had a friend of mine, very good friend of mine. Yeah, we were very, very good friends from a long time ago. When I came here, we met and everything, and we became good friends. But he's got a mouth. He always, as a joke, he always likes to swear and stuff like that. And there's times when I felt uncomfortable in his company. Yeah, and me, practicing the deen and everything. He was practicing praying his 5 times salah and everything, but he had a mouth that always likes to swear and stuff like that, and say things that he shouldn't, and stuff like that as a joke kind of thing. And I started doing the same as him as well in his company. Yeah. So for a while, I was kind of saying lewd things and rude things, whatever, until I realized, I said, no, this it's not right at all. It's not right. It's not that he was a bad person. He was a very good person, very good person. He was a joker, basically. He's always making jokes, but he always had foul language in his mouth. And I decided not to hang around with him anymore. And he called me several times, wanted to go out and everything, and don't see you anymore, don't hear about you anymore. I don't want to tell him that because you're rude, and I end up giving him other excuses or whatever. And but you have friends like that. They are good friends. I'm sure if I had a problem, he would have been the first one to come and run and help me, basically. But the fact that he's always swearing, and he's always as a joke, he will use rude terms and everything, and I didn't feel comfortable with him, so I left his company. Yeah, so we have to choose our friends. One clear sign of this is if you discuss your situation with a friend and she immediately mentions divorce. I keep telling you about that many times, that there are friends, as soon as you tell them polygyny, divorce him, leave him, leave the man, so it's kind of you have these friends that that you have to avoid. At that point, you need to find another friend. Okay? The sister who's writing this book is telling you at that point now, if you have a friend who, as soon as you mention your situation, she mentions divorce to you, or as a man, if you mention your situation, no, you're. I don't think you have a man in that situation. But anyway, I'm talking to sisters here. Yeah. Okay. A good and true friend will mention khula only as the last resort. Okay, if he's what's the name, not fulfilling your rights, he started getting violent, he's treating you bad after he's married that sister, he's not treating you properly, cutting your cutting your expenses and giving to her, which he shouldn't have been doing or whatever. Then you can think, okay, I'm not able to handle this now. Maybe talk about it to him first before you actually go for khula. But there are certain sisters, as soon as you hear the man is even mentioned he's going to take another wife, straight away leave him. Ask for khula. And most importantly, for a just and acceptable reason. Now it says here, Thoban reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, any woman who asks her husband for a divorce with no sound reason will be deprived of the smelling smelling the fragrance of paradise. Now for you, okay, a reasonable cause may be different, but Islamically, when you look at it Islamically, it may be different. You go to a court of Islamic law, and you just, my husband wants to take another wife, and I want to leave him. They're not going to accept that as an excuse. He hasn't even done the act yet. Okay, maybe he's just talking about it. Secondly, okay, even if he has taken, they will ask you, does he treat you well? Does he feed you? Does he put a roof over your head? Does he give you expenses? All these questions will be asked before they could just, take hula out of his pocket and give you kind of thing. So we have to realize all this, that it's not just something that, like, as soon as you feel a little bit, unhappy, you just kind of like, and for it has to be a sound reason, and like I said, for you, well, what is a sound reason may not be a sound reason in the Sharia. Yeah? A lot of these women who are against polygyny, making up excuses, I have to be ill, I have to be this. No, what you might be thinking of it this way, but the Sharia has different rules and regulations, and we have to go according to that. Yeah. Adrian, Adrian Muslim. Okay, I thought it was my friend. What's her name? Adriel. Okay. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thought it was a different friend of mine. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I hope you're okay, brother. This is a new person who's joined my team now. So I'm happy to hear from somebody else. I usually have a friend of mine called Adriel, not Adriel, Adriel, who's not a Muslim actually, who was actually watching my shows. So anyway, welcome to you. Yeah. So then it carries on to say that yeah, a good friend, a good and true friend will always is always looking out for you and your path to Jannah. They speak the truth, even if it hurts. Okay, we saw in the letters that some of the sisters were sending and everything, how her friends were giving her advice. Yeah, and some of them was from very good advice, advising her, you have daughters, and don't mess your life up or whatever. They were giving her good advice, although it might hurt that they were good friends and they were giving you they were giving her good advice. Okay, they speak the truth, even if it hurts you, even if you feel betrayed by what you might perceive as taking sides. Know that a person is known by their friends, and your friends can lead you to Jahannam as assuredly as Shaitan will continue to whisper until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Seek the guardianship of Allah. If you have Allah as a friend, then no one can hurt you. But if Allah is not your friend, then it is as if you were a piece of meat in a pack of wolves. Very interesting, yeah, to bear that in mind. And again, we're talking about your friends. So, it is times like this that you know who your good friends are. In times like this, when you're in a situation like this, then you know that if your friend is giving you good advice, if your friend is telling you that, have sabr, Allah's testing you and stuff like that, then that's a good friend of yours. But if your friend is telling you oh, leave this man, you'll find plenty of men all over the place or whatever, you won't find plenty of good men everywhere. Believe me. Men are out there 10 cents a dozen, but good men are very rare to find. And if you have a good one, why are you going to rattle the cage? Why are you going to rock the boat if you have a good husband, and he just wants to take another wife? Okay, Inshallah, you continue through this journey, and Allah guide you and give you comfort. You may find yourself confronted with 4 very harmful things: suspicion, assumption, eavesdropping, and details. Suspicion, this is very interesting now. She's going to unpack this. what she means by these, and we're going to go through them. If you are able to avoid these matters, then you will be able, if you are able to avoid these matters, then you will avoid the nights of pain, anger, tears, and sadness. Okay, let's talk about suspicion. Suspicion is an enemy of yours because it makes a fool of you. It twists your emotions into knots and leaves you gasping for sanity. Suspicion is like putting a drop of poison in your water every time you drink. Before long, your entire body is consumed with this poison, and you are unable to see, think, or feel clearly. Suspicion is very easy to fall into because of whispers of shaitan. Overcoming it can become your greatest triumph, or falling into it can become your greatest downfall. Fortify yourself against suspicion and turn to Allah, seeking refuge against the accursed Satan. Now, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that says, it was narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ said, beware of suspicion. Okay, for suspicion is the worst of false tales. Okay, sometimes what might happen is you might have friends who like to take tales from here to there. Okay, go and listen to this one, what this one says, go and say to this one, she says that, she said that, he done this, he done that. Oh, guess what, he bought something for her and he didn't buy it for you, this type of thing. Or this now creates suspicion. Okay, suspicion now, does he love her more than me? Okay, or there's different cases I can mention, but things that it's not coming to my mind. Anyway, next one is assumption. Assumptions are akin to suspicion in that they are termites of a relationship. They eat away at anything in their path. Assumptions are thoughts that you have let get out of control. I think there's that have you. Sorry, let me read that again. I didn't see, it doesn't seem grammatically right here. Assumptions are thoughts that you have let get out of control. Okay, fine. Yeah, get it. Do not assume of the obvious, because more likely it is not the obvious, but the unobvious. Do not assume that you know everything unless you are told point blank and directly. Now, again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, "O you who have believed, avoid much assumptions. Indeed, some assumptions is in sin." Surah Hujurat, verse 12. Now, sometimes you can assume things that are not true. Maybe your husband is didn't turn up or whatever, and oh, he's probably with her. He's probably taken her somewhere, or I don't know. Examples are not coming, but these are the things that the sister's talking about. The examples to explain to you is not coming up. Anyway, eavesdropping may be the most devastating of action of all, because the eavesdropping you have heard but did not actually hear. You've seen but did not actually see. Eavesdropping will give you the illusion that you have heard and seen things, but in actually you haven't heard the right thing. Or the way you have seen and heard it isn't the way it was meant. Save yourself the pain and do not, under any circumstances, eavesdrop. It's very what's the name? It's very Adrian. According to the hadith, okay, the brother Adrian there is is giving a hadith. Let's put that on here. According to the hadith, in the end of time, one man will be in charge of 50 women. Science now says that men's population will be possibly decreasing in future. Let's like less birth of men and something to do with chromosome. Yes, it is. I think a couple of weeks ago I had mentioned, or I think last week's lesson I had mentioned that in many countries they use they kind of they you will see that, like, the population of men is actually decreasing. Yeah, you'll see the population of men is decreasing. There's wars. Men's lives are shorter. Men do jobs that are more risky. More risky jobs than women. Most of the women are sat in the offices. Most of the men are out climbing on electric poles and stuff like that. So they end up being more vulnerable than the women. And yes, you are right that men are decreasing. The amount of men are decreasing. Now that could include a man. That could include the women, the mother, could include the sister, could include the daughters, could include the wives as well. If a man is going to be in charge of 50 women, maybe his father has died. Now he's left. This is the reason, I think, yesterday or the day before, I was reading one of the texts that I'm doing in the course, and it explains why a man gets more inheritance than a woman. Yeah? And the teacher was explaining that the reason why is because a man, if his father dies, he has to look after his sister. Okay, he has to look after his mother. He has to look after his wife as well. That responsibility is on him. So this is the reason why he gets more inheritance than that sister of his. Now, even if that sister now gets married, she goes over and gets married, her inheritance stays hers. It doesn't go to her husband. So her husband now ends up having to pay for her, to pay for her, any children that he has or whatever. And like brother Adrian mentions here now, he said, yes, more money, more responsibility. Yeah, so more responsibility, more money. And this is why a lot of the non-Muslims don't understand this. Then a lot of the non-Muslims think, Islam is unfair, the women get less inheritance. No, because what would happen now if a man's father dies, for example, and he's left them three girls, okay, 3 girls and 1 boy. Okay, 3 girls and 1 boy. These 3 girls now, they're still young. How are they going to fend for themselves? Okay, they're not married yet. They're still young or whatever. And that man now has to look after the 3 daughters. His mother is still here. If he's married, he's going to have to look after his wife as well. And if he has children on top of it. So yes, the more responsibility, the more money is needed. So that's the reason why you find that the man gets more in inheritance than the woman. It's not out of Islam is bad religion, it depresses women or whatever. It's not that. That's not the way it is. And anyway, you were drifting off to what? Anyway, so then the other one, which leads up to the 4th vice, details of what your husband is doing with regards to getting married, again, are like a little tiny daggers in your heart. Every detail is a dagger, and they are not easy to remove. Now, some women will sit down and think, oh, what is he doing with her now? He's making love to her. He bought her this, he bought her that. What? The guy might be sitting down watching TV with her, The guy might be sitting down, I don't know what, but you are thinking all the little details, and that really affects your mind now, the details you're going through. You're thinking and you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be thinking what he's doing with his wife. What he does with his wife is none of your business. What he does with you is none of her business as well. You see, these two are different relationships, and they should be kept different. Anyway, every detail is a dagger, and they are not easy to remove. Stick to things that directly involve you. Okay? For example, knowing that he's married again directly involves you. Knowing that he's married to a Syrian who is 24, has a degree in Islamic studies, and is thinking about wearing niqab is totally unnecessary. Okay, you don't have to break your head with all this, like, who, where's she from, and she's got a degree in this, she's got a degree in that, and oh, I haven't got a degree in that. You want all the details now. You're gonna ask him probably. You're gonna probably ask him now. How old is she? Where's she from? And obviously, as husband and wife, you will talk. You will have a conversation. But sometimes it's not good to go into all these details. All these details, unnecessary details. The details will come on their own naturally. You have no need to go digging for them. And most of the time, end up creating fitna for yourself. Because what happens now, when the more details the more you're going to sit down and think now. The more, all right, she's got what's her name? He married her because she's a doctor, kind of thing, she's going to make a lot of money, kind of thing, she's more clever than me, kind of thing. That's the reason that he married her. So all this is going to go through the minds, and it's going to kind of not anyway, distance yourself from his everyday business of where he's going, when he's coming back, how he's going to get there, who is he going with. One thing okay, let me finish this sentence, and I'll go. Who he's going with, why he's going, and so on and so forth. Okay, now I've noticed a lot of sisters, when their husbands are married to them only, they're not bothered if he's going with his friends, he's going to the market, he's going to play pool, he's going fishing, they don't have any worries about that. Leave him, let him stay out if he wants, no problem. I don't want him here, kind of thing. But as soon as he gets married again now she's going to want to know, where did he go? When did he go? What time did he come back? And where did he take her? What did they eat? All that type of stuff. All these unnecessary details. Okay, the reason for this is because, knowing the female nature, if any of his habits change, then more than likely the woman will fall into suspicion, assumption, and may even try to eavesdrop and dig for details. Now, something happened to me long time back. Okay. I don't want to go into much details, but there was a sister who I, was interested in getting married to, and had known that sister for a while. And when I was younger, when I was in college and everything, and then we left completely and gone. Now, suddenly she just turned up and contacted me and everything. Are you married? And this and that and the other. So my attitude suddenly changed now. I became brighter, more happy, thinking, I'm going to, whatever. And the wife is caught on to that. That was a long time ago, very, very long time ago, right? She caught on to that. Now, because I'm smiling more and I'm a bit more happy or whatever, she went, ballistic basically, with assumption, suspicion, and even eavesdropping, because women should not check their husband's phones, should not see who is talking to him, who is not talking to. This is haram, and all that happened. Yeah. Why? Because my attitude suddenly just changed. I became a little bit more brighter, a little more bubblier, thinking maybe maybe I'm gonna married his sister, whatever. Nothing happened in the end anyway. Nothing happened. But at the time, there was a lot of suspicion, a lot of assumptions, a lot of eavesdropping as well. And the eavesdropping is very bad, because if you pick up your husband's phone and you start reading his messages and everything, that's going to cause fitna. That's going to cause real fitna in the house. Yeah. Especially with his other wife. Now, there's an incident that happened. I don't know if I told you this story before, but there was a man who he was working, and no, he had his own business, and he had his secretary who worked for him, and his secretary didn't write her name, just a number on there, mentioned that I've left the house. No, I've left for now, but I've left the back door open. If you want to come in, you come in through the back door. Now, his wife went ballistic. When she read that message, she went crazy, like, fighting and everything and whatever, like, who is that lady and what is her name and everything. I want to know, like, you have another wife. And the brother said, no, this is the secretary at work. Like, I don't have the keys. I forgot to take the keys with me this morning. And she's leaving. She's left the door open. And she's telling me to come through the back door. And she still didn't believe him. I think he had to take her along with him. Yeah, to show her that this is the message that she's written. My keys, I've left it in the office. If you want, I can come and show you. And I had to go through the back door. So this is what suspicion, assumptions, and eavesdropping actually causes, because, like, it causes big fitna. And it says here now, stay away. Where did I reach here? The reason for this is because, knowing of the female nature, if any of his habits change, then more likely the woman will fall into suspicion, assumptions, and may even try to eavesdrop and dig for details. Ya Allah, save us from ourselves. Be concerned with what directly concerns you. Avoid asking 1001 questions. Stay away from suspicion and avoid assumptions. Run from eavesdropping, and for the sake of your sanity, do not dig for details. Okay. Now, hadith from Abu Huraira says, Abu Huraira narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, from the perfection of a person's Islam is that he leaves alone that which does not concern him. Actually, I was going to mention that earlier on. That out of the perfection of a person, leave what doesn't concern you. What's been said on the phone, like, what he said, what he didn't say, well, where he's going here, where he's taking her, like, doesn't concern you. So why are you trying to, like, pry into his marriage with her, kind of thing? That okay, he's married to her. Yeah, that he's married to her. He's told you or whatever that that he's married to her. Yet now you want to go into details. You want to go into this and that. Anyway, just reminding you that you're watching Our People of the Book, and our usual Saturday show. Like I said, although it's from monogamy to polygyny, it's not just that. Nobody's pushing polygyny down anybody's neck, anybody's throat. Sorry. Yeah, so you can see how much this is reminding you about your deen. This is reminding you to turn back to Allah. This is reminding you to not do things that will make you regret in the end. Yeah, we're on the 44-minute mark, and we've got another 20 minutes or so to go. 15 minutes ago. Anyway, this deen is complete. All that you need to succeed is in the knowledge and the way of Islam. Allow yourself to change and grow. Allow yourself to mirror the example of the mothers of the believers and the female Sahaba. Allow yourself to grieve and feel pain, but eventually move on. Allow yourself to gain a new understanding of this religion. Allow your strength to grow forth. Allow yourself to fight the accursed Satan. Allow yourself to increase in your iman. Allow yourself to be better. Allow yourself the right to be better yourself for the sole intention of making it to Jannah. Allow yourself to seek the friendship of Allah. Allow yourself to avoid these things that will harm you. Allow yourself to be better, to love better and rightly. Allow yourself to seek the path that is straight and narrow. Most importantly, allow yourself to accept that the word of Allah is to accept the word of Allah completely. Allow yourself for it. Allow yourself for if you do, yourself becomes anew. Yeah. Now, like I keep reminding you, that this book is not just about polygyny. You see how much this paragraph alone has spoken about, returning back to Allah and having trust in Allah, and follow the Sahabiya, follow the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that, so it's not just about polygyny, although it's based on that. So the important thing out of all of this is to have Allah, to have the trust in Allah, if you're in polygyny or if you're not, and if you're thinking of going into it. Yeah, this is I'm giving you the pack that you need. What you call it, the survival pack that you need if you're entering into any polygynous situation, or if you are in there and you're finding a few difficulties or whatever. I hope what I'm sharing with you helps you. Okay, we'll move on to a different subchapter now, preparing for the inevitable. Okay, as was pointed out earlier, it is essential for the Muslim woman to have a strong foundation in her deen in order to ease the emotional difficulties of polygyny and to open doors to familial success. With the understanding that our lives are the purpose of worshipping Allah alone, and this life is only good as it means to attain that goal, then the Muslim woman can put polygyny in its proper place within her life. It is not for us to let polygyny rule the feelings, the emotions, our hearts, our actions. Rather, it is for the deen of Allah to rule our behavior such that our actions are in obedience to Allah and they become the means of reward and blessing for us. Okay, so instead of putting the cart before the horse, now this is advice from the sister that we have to do it the other way around. The sisters, you have to do it the other way around. You have to put polygyny in its proper place. Yeah, and also you don't let your emotions rule. Your emotions take over. You don't let your feelings take over. Rather, you put Allah's deen first. You put Allah's deen first and let that polygyny go around Allah's deen. And Allah says in the Quran, such believers are the repentant, the worshippers, the praisers of Allah, the travelers for His cause, those who bow and prostrate in prayer, those who enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, and those who observe the limits set by Allah and give glad tidings to the believers. Surah At-Tawbah, verse 112. Okay, and then the book goes on to say, this is where the efforts should lie. They should lie in fulfilling our obligations to Allah such that we can be included in the group of the people called the believers. Okay? And Allah says in the Quran, O you who believe, fear Allah and seek the means of nearness to Him and strive in His cause that you may succeed. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 35. See, so the important thing now is to seek the closeness of Allah, so is to repent and basically to your life should be Allah first, and then your life should come around that, not your life and then Allah comes after. No. It is essential for Muslims to strive to please their Lord and make their Lord the essence of their soul. This is what I was just trying to say there. Yeah, make Allah the essence of your soul, not whatever is around you. Then Allah. This is the way to achieve success in this life, and essential, and especially success in the next. With our focus and on our worship, it becomes easier to pass the many tests that and make it through the many trials of this life, including the test of polygyny. Okay, we're going to read till the end of this page, and then we're going to finish here because, we've got them about 9 minutes ago. Okay, there's only 2 paragraphs. We thus felt it necessary to include before we end this book a reminder to all about our duty to our Lord. In order for Muslim women to come to grips with polygyny, it's a must to put the desire for Allah ahead of everything else. Yeah, even the man who's going to enter into polygyny, he has to think Allah first. He has to follow the Quran and Sunnah, follow the what Allah has told him, follow what the Prophet ﷺ has taught us before he actually enters into polygyny. And like I keep saying, polygyny is not for every man. Not every man can do it, although every man might have the desire to do it. Everyone might. You ask a man, do you want to take yeah, he'll tell you he wants to take a second wife, but there are consequences to it. Not every man is a man. Not every man is a leader in such terms. To be able to enter into polygyny, you have to be a leader first and foremost. You have to have the qualities of a leader. And if you cannot lead one family, how are you going to lead another? So although the book is talking about sisters, it does apply to the men as well. Okay. When done, what necessarily follows is a complete sense of happiness with the fulfillment of our natural state, the submission to the will of Allah. What follows is an essay relating to the important aspects of making our lives benefit for us. It is hoped that it will encourage the Muslims to strive to put their desire for Allah and His Messenger ahead of their emotions and worldly desires. What we've been reminding them, the sisters, for from the beginning of this series. Then Allah says in the Quran, indeed the Muslim men and women, the believing men, the believing women, the obedient men and the obedient woman, the truthful man, the truthful women, the patient man, the patient women, the humble man, the humble woman, the charitable man, the charitable woman, the fasting man, the fasting woman, the man who guards their private parts and the women who do so, and the men who remember Allah and often, and the women who do so, for them Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. So when we get told that Islam is not women is not equal to man in Islam. On the level of Allah, we are equal. This verse here explains to you clearly that according to Allah, we are equal. The way we were created is different. The way our minds are created is different. The way we do things is different. But according to Allah, according to this verse, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 35, it is clear, okay, that women and men are equal in the eyes of Allah, and we will earn the same reward. Sorry, I'm getting hiccups. In the eyes of Allah, and we will earn the same rewards. Okay. So nobody can tell us that, like, your women are treated unfairly, your women don't get this, your women don't get that, or whatever. According to this verse, if you read it and think about it, ponder over it, in Allah's eyes, we are all equal, no doubt about it. Okay, to proceed. Verily, all praise is for Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, and we appeal for His forgiveness. Okay, so she's starting the new chapter now. That's why she's saying in Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Okay, so I think I'll end here. I don't want to kind of like, start a chapter, a new chapter with just in Alhamdulillah, salatu wasalam ala Rasulullah, and we've got 4 minutes to go. Yeah. So I hope that you have benefited from this. This is my purpose of doing this. As a student of knowledge, as somebody who's completing a bachelor's in Islamic studies, who's been studying under the feet of scholars for I would say 15 years now. Yeah, who's been studying with scholars. As a student of knowledge, it is my responsibility to share my knowledge with you. Whatever Allah has given me, the knowledge that Allah has given me, it is my responsibility to share it with you. So I hope that you benefit from it, and please make dua, because I've got exams coming. My final, not my final for this semester. I have another 1 or 2 semesters left, depending on how much I stretch it. If I stretch it, then I'll probably have 2 semesters left. If I kind of take 2-3 subjects only, then I'll probably have more. But anyway, so make dua that Allah gives me the knowledge that I can share with you, and please make dua for me. And I am weak, I'm a human, and maybe made mistakes. So whatever mistakes I've made is from me, and please forgive me. And whatever good you benefited from this is from Allah. So we'll finish here. Remember, Fridays we have the Tafsir Juz Amma classes with our scholar, Dr. Farhat Nisar from Pakistan, and that's after Jum'ah in my time. It's 11 o'clock UK time, and we've finished Surat Abasa now, and we're moving on to Surat Takwir. Yeah. And then also you've got me on next Saturday as well at the same time. Inshallah, I won't feel tired. Allah will give me the strength, and I'll be here, inshallah. So we'll finish here. We'll start page 256. We're coming to the end of the book anyway, so yeah. So 256 next week, inshallah, and this is the new chapter that we'll be going to be talking about preparation for the inevitable. Okay, so we'll finish here, and I'll see you on next Friday, and I'll see you next Saturday. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.